and then the landlord would be like, rah, 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 rah. I don't understand these people. I'm gonna pass on that. I expect the property market to go up. It was no means the dream house, but it was our dream house. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I am Yvette and I moved to the UK 2 years ago, and I'm documenting my experiences. And one of the biggest experiences I've had while living in the UK has been buying this house. So buying a house is a task and a half. It is massive and it was a huge learning opportunity, and so I thought, you know, I did my research, but I did feel there was bits missing, so I wanted to make this video and kind of share with my experience things that I thought I didn't expect, costs I didn't expect, things that I found helpful that let us secure this place, because I know a lot of people, particularly millennials, are struggling to get real estate. So I thought, you know, it's not easy. We pretend it's easy. There are definitely tips and tricks that can help you. It's not impossible. So I wanted to share those with you. And, you know, I like to think, you know, we're not in a competition. I want us all to thrive. So, you know, if I get a house and you get a house, that's great. We both have houses. So I want that for everyone. Without further ado, I'll give you all my tips and tricks that I can think of that I think would be helpful for you if you wanted to buy a house. So one of the first tips I have is that, it might sound obvious, but stick with me, is know what you want. You're like, yes, I want a house, or yes, I want, you know, as many bedrooms as I can afford, things like that. I guess know what you want, know what you need to feel satisfied, and know, I guess as well, like foresee the future, not foresee the future, be psychic. No, but like if you're like wanting to start a family, that like you might need more rooms, like plan to grow, because buying a house can be expensive in terms of, I was quite fortunate, and some of you may have been as well, with the stamp duty holiday, but you need to factor that into your costing. So, you know, if you were going to buy a house and sell it in 1 year, you would lose the, you know, £15,000 or whatever the crazy amount of stamp duty there is, unless the house goes up that amount, and then you just break even. So it's not, you know what I mean? It is, you know, you need to at least try to be there at least like 3 to 5 years to really see a profit. Unless you're with the stamp duty holiday, in which case it makes it a bit easier for us, people like us. But one of the things that I found really helpful, because the property market goes quite fast, so when you know exactly what you want, you can have the experience that we had, where we walked into this place and we just knew. We instantly got in the car and we're like, that's it. So firstly, know what you want in terms of pricing, where you can afford, but also I think more importantly, look at the area, because what I did was I found an area I liked. It was in London. It was not cheap, so that's why I'm not there. But what it meant was that I found the area I liked. I day trips there. I checked it out. I checked out the surrounding areas. I did lots down in that area. Then when we started looking at like affordability, what could we get, where could we get it, etc., we just moved further and further away from the city centre to the point where we could afford. For some people that might be like, I don't know, Chichester, or it could be, you know, Chelsea. I don't know your budget, but that's what I would say, as well as the space. So we knew, for example, the things we wanted: more than 1 bedroom, a garden, room to put in a shed, because we want to try and build our own gym, just because that'll save us time and money in the long term. We wanted, those were kind of the basics. Ideally, like a place to put the car. But the other thing that I had, like a wish list of things, and one of the things was that, because we bought this house as an investment, I should say that this isn't our forever home, so you would have, I guess, either more or less, or maybe just different list of things you want if it's your forever home. But we wanted this as an investment, so I did a cost versus profit analysis on different renovations. So things like adding a bedroom, like doing an extension, or just doing an extension in general, is very expensive, but adds a lot of value. So you do get a decent amount, but you've got to have the outlay to offset it. So it's it is worth it if you can afford it, but it's not the most affordable. The other thing is, doing a loft conversion is a much cheaper way to add a room. So if I found somewhere that I could do a loft conversion, that would be much more profitable for me. So I looked at places like that. My other like dream wish list, which I didn't think we'd get and we did, I wanted someone to have done an extension out the back that was old that I could then update and put an island in, because for some reason adding a kitchen island is like 10 times the value of a kitchen renovation. I don't know why. They'd done an extension. The kitchen was like usable, so it wasn't like we had to like do it instantly or we couldn't cook, so we could live a little bit with it. The main thing was the space. It was quite a big extension and they had a dining room and a kitchen in there, and I said let's just make it one big kitchen because I think that's going to be better. And they had a paved area at the back that I thought we could do an extension and have the dining room out there. So like the extension I want to do, which I haven't done, so you know, maybe I never will, and I'll look back at this video and think, oh, look at how naive she was and thought she had all this money when I don't. But they had a laundry in the house, and I personally just don't think laundries add any value real estate wise, particularly in the size our house is, when you could just put the washing machine in the kitchen. Like you don't need a whole room for that. It's only a 2-bed house, like how much laundry is there going to be? Really, you don't need a whole room. So I pulled that out, fixed that room up, and now we have another bedroom, or at least 0.5 of a room. So it'd be like 2.5 bedroom now. So I'll probably turn it into an office long term, put a door on it, make it an office. But for now it's a dining room until we do potentially a conservatory extension. I think priorities is not the highest, so you won't see that particularly soon, but it is on the list. Maybe I'll talk to my contractors and see how much it is. The other thing was that the bathrooms need renovating. Bathrooms are not that great a return, so we did take a hit on that. Basically you'll spend, I don't know, 8K renovating them and you'll get like 10K benefits, so it's not really a good return, but I will have a nice bathroom to shower in, and there is some value to that for me. So things like that. So point of the whole story is that when we walked in, I already could just like do the numbers in my head kind of and know like, okay, extension, this will be that much, this thing, that much. Also with this house, and one thing you can utilize, and my biggest tip is don't get fooled by furniture and decorating. You've seen this house. It was a look. It was someone's taste. It was very bright. This room had 5 different colors on all the walls. Yeah, just we were able to capitalize on the fact that this place was not well kept. We could do a lot of you know, superficial things like painting, changing some doors, changing some door handles, changing light fittings. They're not that expensive and they make quite a big difference, and they modernize it. Know the cost of renovating, know the area you want, know your budget, and then also the budget for renovating, because they all kind of go together. Even things like paint, you know, things add up. It gets expensive. Also, one thing I found, and this might just be because I'm a foreigner and I didn't grow up here, but I don't know the reputation of areas. And obviously stereotypes are not hard and fast. However, it's good to know what you're getting into before you commit. You don't want to buy a house and find out across the road is like a meth lab or something, you know? So what I did, just to get a bearing on the area I was looking at, I looked up some crime data. I looked up census data, just to know demographics, crime rates, what are we looking at? Just give me a good view of an area. I also looked up COVID facts, just because it was there now. And so I looked up all that, and it gave me just a good idea of what I was moving into, you know? Like, it could be, you know, it doesn't matter necessarily, it just informs your decision. You don't want any surprises, I guess. Crime data was the biggest one for me, because I didn't want to move anywhere that was like, #1 type of crime is sexual assault. I'll be like, I'm at pass on that, thanks, but no thanks. Whereas, you know, a nice posh area of London, most common, I don't live in a posh area, I don't even live in London, but if you were to look like Chelsea, the most common crime is like car theft or car break-ins, and I'm like, you know what, if I had to choose a crime, that one is not traumatic to me and probably covered by insurance, so sure. Just like anything that's like my physical well-being or like assaults or anything, I'm like, hard pass. So I wanted to find a safe area, basically family friendly, not that I'm having a baby anytime soon, but if that was an option down the line. Also, you can look at property area data when you're doing your data searches, see what the trends are. Is it going down? Is it going up? Is it about to go down? Is it about to go up? things like that. You can only ever really guess, but it gives you a good idea. I would say from my research, and I have a degree in commerce, so I know a little bit, I'm not an expert, I expect the property market to go up. So now would be a good time to buy because of Brexit. It has been decreasing for the last 5 years. So we've probably hit a low, and now that Brexit's resolved, plus COVID, I'm expecting it to go up. So if you look at areas that have fallen after 2016, don't freak out, it's a part of Brexit. The entirety of the UK has done the same thing. So look at like the 10-year data, not the 5-year data, is my point. So context, when we got this place, we looked at it on a Saturday. We came on a Saturday. We got given a tour by the owners. We put an offer down on Sunday and it was accepted on Monday. That was how fast the market moved. We knew it was exactly what we wanted, even though it was like a fixer-upper. It was no means the dream house, but it was our dream house because we knew our calculations, we knew what it was worth, we knew what we wanted to do. We were okay with the amount of work to go in. And so we were able to jump on it. And because of that, we didn't get stuck in a bidding war, which is what you don't want. So if you and ah too long, you'll miss it. Someone will gazump you with a different price. Yeah, it's just, and then also, they'll be like, I'm gonna give you this amount, and they go, I'm gonna do this amount plus 1, and then you're like, I'll do that amount plus 2, and then it just like gets to the point where it's not the right price anymore, and you're just paying too much for a place. So try to avoid bidding wars. In Australia, everything's an auction. Did you know that? It's very hard to buy a house not at an auction, and I hate auctions. So I was very happy to have this not be an auction. It was the negotiation part was probably the easiest part of the process. However, it was still annoying and long. Because we knew, so we bought this house in January, or we put the offer down in January. We were like planning the move since lockdown 1 in April 2020. Like we spent 9 months just looking at areas and looking at houses and stuff. So when I found an area I considered, I would find the police and the local council, and I would follow them on social media, and they would often post updates or like crimes overnight, what was it like, blah, blah, blah. And that really gives you another snapshot of what life living there would be, because you're seeing the council and you're also seeing the police who are notifying you. So fine, and like no one even knows the council has a Twitter, but it's great. I love the council Twitter. You've done your numbers, you've spent your area, you found an area that's safe, family friendly. Well, that's me, what I wanted. Maybe you want like an edgy like place, I don't know. Maybe you want lots of nightlife, that's fine. I'm 85 on the inside, I wanted country walks and a nice pub. So you found the area you want to live, you've found the house you want to live in, and you put down an offer and they've accepted it. That is like step 1. That is literally the start of the journey. So in Australia, what I'm used to is that you put down 10% deposit when they accept the offer, then you get to do, and you have like a month cooling off period, something like that, while you do your surveys, which I'll get into, and you get to doing checks. And then after that period, your 10% is like a holding fee that they're not going to let the house be seen by anyone else, and it's basically yours. So yeah, there's a bit of security there. So the whole process of buying the house is like you have like a deposit on the house before you get to go in, so that it's secure for that negotiation period. That's not like that in the UK. So we put down our offer, then we got a survey. Surveys do like, checks the house that isn't leaking, that there's no like electrical thing. That in Australia it's like that there's no termites, because that's also a thing we worry about. Just that there's nothing structurally wrong with the house and it's not about to fall over and not about to cost. And they'll also give you a costing. So say there's £10,000 worth of maintenance that needs to be done. You can then go back and take that off the house and say, well, the house is actually falling apart, take the price down, things like that. It's worth doing, because the last thing you want is the house to fall down after you've paid for it. So it costs, I think, like 500-ish pounds, but it's one of the worth it. Yeah, so we got a solicitor. We got the same solicitor as the people selling the house, because we wanted it to be streamlined. So we put the offer down 10th of Jan. That's how early we were. We moved in mid-April. Like, it was crazy. It took that long. It took 4 months basically to get in, or 3 months? January, February. 3 months. 3 months to close. And so we never put a deposit down. The solicitors had like a list of things they needed, money, mortgages. We also got a mortgage loan in principle, so the mortgage knew the solicitor knew we had the money, so it kind of sped the money thing up. We did that before we started hunting. Once again, do it in the pre-work. Did all that, and then there was always just more and more being asked every week. You had to do another piece of paper, another this. And Daniel's really fast. Daniel did it all. I can't pretend. He's the admin man. And so he did that side of it, like with the solicitor. And then the people here were kind of slow. And so they were actually, well, we were chain free because we were moving from a flat as our first house. We had no chain. They didn't have to worry about the house being sold. However, these people were also chain free because they were going to go move to France because the husband was French. Halfway through the process of buying the house, they decided to buy a house. So the process we went through to buy this, they then had to do the same to sell it and then do the same to buy their new place, which they then they're so fast and loose. They randomly decided to buy a house halfway through selling this house, which severely delayed us. And we didn't find out about that until like we were about to close. And like we noticed that some of the stuff that was being asked of them was like really bizarre. And then we looked it up and it was because of them hiding the fact that they were trying to buy a house as well, which just delayed us, which is annoying because it meant we paid more rent and we would have missed the stamp duty holiday if they didn't extend it. So it really, really screwed us over. We were just very lucky to not get severely screwed over because of it. That was annoying. They changed the house to have a house name rather than a number. And they put that into council in like January 1st, like just before they're about to sell it. A name change for a property takes months to go through, and you can't sign the deed of a property when it's like in the middle of a transitional for a name. So it was like so dumb. They changed the name because they thought it would help sell the property, but then they sold the property before it went through. I don't understand these people. The stress these people put me through, I cannot. And then obviously you've seen my house tour of like the irrational stuff they've done in the house as well. I can't. So those were the biggest things that were delayed was they decided to buy a house in the middle without telling anyone. So they went from chain free to not chain free because then we had to wait for the people they were buying the house from in Southampton to move. Unfortunately, they were chain free. So it's just like, these chains. If I was selling this place and moving, I would sell, take my money, and then look for a house. I am not dealing with chains. I can't imagine. I hated being on the end of one. I can't imagine being in the middle of one. Nightmare. I'm gonna go take my money, live in an Airbnb where I hunt for a house for the next one. I refuse to be in a chain. While all this is going on, you know, we put the offer down as accepted in January. We spent £500 on solicitors and surveys and blah. Then, keep in mind, we still haven't put a deposit on the house. Like, so they could just pull out at any point and not give it to us. And like, we would just be out hundreds of pounds. So it was a bit stressful. Friday the 16th of April, that was the day we moved in. We got a call on Friday the 14th of April saying that we could finally exchange contracts and that it would be locked in with 2 days notice to move and get keys. Once again, this isn't, I don't even know if this was their fault. I don't know whose fault it is, but I hated it because then we were paying a mortgage and we were paying our rent for a whole month, and that's really annoying because that was very expensive. So we had 2 properties for no reason. And I hated that. I was like, that was just like hemorrhaging us money. If you know how to avoid it, please tell me in the comments and help future people out because I wish I could have avoided that. Like, that was an insane amount of money to just like throw away. Like, I question paying £20 for like dinner, let alone that much money on a property no one's in. Should have just got a homeless person and put them in just for a bit. Like, and then the landlord would be like, rah, 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 rah. And so like you have to pack your house up and life up as well as those 2 days. I wanted to come down, make the house look nice, and then move in. Daniel wanted to move in because he was so sick of the flat. So we hired a van and we did, I think, 2 trips up and down to get the stuff for the house. We just got like a normal van because Daniel doesn't have like a truck license or anything, or a lorry license. So we did the whole move ourselves, which was cheaper. We're doing this while trying to like do the end of tenancy clean and make sure our landlord hasn't scammed us out of our bond, which they tried to do. But luckily Daniel's like, they rang us up and like, we're not giving you the bond back because there's like 4 cobwebs on a light. And I'm like, absolutely not. I'll drive back there just to clean those cobwebs. And then we went back and they didn't even check it. And they're like, yeah, no, you can have it. clearly just like hoping people don't come to check that it was actually fine. Anyways, enough with renting and landlords and bonds. That bond was so expensive, it will basically pay for a bathroom renovation. That's how much the landlord took of us. The only thing I wish we had done different would have been the 2 days notice. I'm like, is there like, was it because we had a bad solicitor? Was it bad like tenants? But if you can like have longer than 2 days notice, that would be fantastic. And I think you'd have a lot better time. But yeah, overall, know your area, check your statistics, check your social media, check the house, check the cost of like renovating as well as the cost of it, particularly if you're gonna rent it out. We're not, but like it's another number to crunch. Get a loan in principle and don't skimp on the survey is my biggest takeaways. We, for the record, saved up the money ourselves. We didn't get handouts. We just happened to be fortunate to keep working throughout the lockdown, and it was very easy to save money when you were working non-stop for a year and had nothing to spend it on because the world was in lockdown. We were very lucky. Hopefully this house will turn into something magic. It's getting there bit by bit, but it's yet to be the dream, but it will be the dream. So if you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up. Please tell me in the comments if you had any other tips or tricks or anything that I could have done better that you can share with future, or for me in the future, who knows. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit subscribe so you can see me next time. Also, I have been doing videos on the renovating, so you can check those out as well and see the disaster that was this house. Bye.